It was 11:47 p.m. when my phone glowed on the nightstand like a warning flare. One notification from Mom, Lauren. I braced for a hospital call or a late-night meltdown. Instead, a photo loaded, my childhood bedroom in Tacoma, stripped bare. Bookshelves empty, trophies gone, clothes stuffed into heavy black trash bags like evidence being disposed of. The caption underneath was clinical. "We're converting this to Madison's new dressing room. Pick up your stuff by 8 a.m. or it's donated. No extensions." 3 seconds later, my sister Madison hearted the message. A little red heart. That's all it took. I didn't scream. I didn't cry right away. I just sat frozen in the dark, staring until the screen timed out and went black. For 31 years I'd been the structural support nobody acknowledged, holding up the illusion while they posed for pictures. My parents, Richard and Lauren, had spent decades perfecting the image: gated community house, luxury SUV, country club membership, and Madison, the golden daughter who had potential. I was the quiet one who didn't need much. The one who quietly paid the cable bill when Dad's card declined. The one who covered Madison's rent in Seattle so she could focus on her branding career. The one who funneled money so they could keep pretending they were still upper middle class while the bank statements screamed otherwise. I knew about the foreclosure warnings 3 years earlier. I knew because I was the one logging into Dad's accounts every month, quietly transferring funds to stop the late notices. They never asked how I could afford it. They never asked about my life at all. That night, staring at the photo of my entire childhood reduced to garbage bags for a bigger closet, something fundamental shifted. It wasn't just betrayal. It was clarity. They didn't want me gone. They wanted the evidence of me gone. Before I tell you how I turned the tables, drop a comment. Where are you listening from right now, and what time is it there? Let me know you're part of this community. Because what they didn't realize was simple logistics truth. When you remove the foundation, the whole structure collapses. And I was about to become the collapse. I didn't drive over at dawn to rescue my things. I didn't call screaming. I opened my laptop and pulled up the spreadsheet I'd maintained for a decade, titled simply Family Transfers. Every wire, every Venmo, every time I covered a temporary shortfall. I scrolled to the bottom. The number glowed in red, $287,400. That was the cost of my membership in a family that just cancelled it. For years I told myself it was love, duty, family. But staring at those digits, I finally admitted the truth. It was rent. Rent for the right to exist in their orbit. Pay enough, stay quiet enough, and maybe they'd let you stay in the picture, off to the side, out of focus. The first bailout was at 23. Mom called sobbing about a declined card at Nordstrom for Madison's inspiration board supplies. I paid it. Told myself it was once. Then it was car insurance. Then Madison's apartment deposit because creative energy doesn't thrive under financial stress. Then Dad's golf club dues so he could network. I drove a 12-year-old Honda. Ate grocery store brand everything. Lived in a one-bedroom that smelled faintly of damp carpet. Meanwhile they vacationed in Napa, posted yacht pictures, and thanked the universe for their blessings. I kept paying because I thought if the checks were big enough, they'd finally see me. They never did. That photo changed everything. They weren't just taking my money anymore. They were erasing my history to make more room for the favorite. I closed the spreadsheet. A strange calm settled in. Not rage. Precision. They thought I was still the reliable backstop. They had no idea I'd quietly sold my supply chain optimization software to a Fortune 500 company 6 months earlier, for $87 million cash. They never asked what I did for work. Logistics girl, Dad called it once. Very practical. They had no clue the practical girl was now liquid. I picked up my phone and texted my attorney at 2:14 a.m. We need to move fast. I want to acquire a specific distressed mortgage note. Full cash. Discreet shell company. The reply came in under a minute. Which property? I typed the address I knew by heart. 1247, Evergreen Lane. My childhood home. They wanted me out? Fine. But they were about to learn what happens when the tenant stops paying rent. and the landlord shows up with the deed. A week passed in silence.
No he pas les textes.
No, did you get your things? Messages. Just quiet, like they'd already written me off. Then the calendar invite landed. Madison's VP promotion celebration, Thursday, 7 p.m., Sapphire Ballroom. Attendance expected. No please. No hope you can make it. Just a demand. I went. Not to celebrate. To observe. To see the machine running one final time before I pulled the plug. The venue screamed money. Crystal chandeliers, passed champagne, waiters in black tie. Madison stood center stage in a sequined gown that probably cost more than my annual rent back when I was paying theirs. She told everyone how she'd manifested her way to VP at a top-tier marketing agency. They didn't know I'd rewritten her entire pitch deck. Built her LinkedIn carousel. Coached her through 3 rounds of interviews while she FaceTimed me from the nail salon. Dad tapped a glass for silence. To Madison, our shining star, the one who proves talent runs in this family. Applause thundered. Then his eyes slid to me. And to Harper, our steady foundation. Always there to keep things grounded while Madison soars. Polite chuckles. Translation, you're the dirt we stand on. I smiled thinly and sipped water. I let them bask. Later, Dad cornered me near the service door, sweat beading despite the AC. The caterers being difficult. Cards on hold, some glitch. Just cover the final $5,200. I'll send it Monday. I looked at the man who'd thrown my life into trash bags. How much again? 5-2. Come on, Harper. It's family. I didn't argue. I walked to the manager, swiped my card, paid in full. Then I photographed the receipt. Emailed it to myself. Time-stamped proof. Dad gave me a curt nod when I returned. No thank you, just confirmation the ATM still worked. I left through the side exit without saying goodbye. That $5,200 wasn't charity. It was the closing cost on my freedom. They thought I was still playing the old role. They had no idea I'd already bought the building. What would happen when they finally realized the bank no longer owned their house? But I did. I didn't sleep that night. I brewed dark roast, opened 6 browser tabs, and turned into someone they'd never met, Harper the forensic accountant. I had full access to their shared drive, password unchanged since I fixed their Wi-Fi in 2018. Tax returns, statements, mortgage docs, all there. I traced every dollar I'd sent. Saw the $22,000 business loan I gave Dad listed as Harper's gift in their notes, then spent on a Cabo team retreat they swore was a contest win. Saw Madison's loft lease, Dad's leased Porsche, Mom's spa weekends, all funded by transfers labeled miscellaneous from my account. Total red number at the bottom, $287,400. But I kept digging. Public records showed a second mortgage taken 3 years back, high interest, predatory. Cross-check dates with Instagram, there it was. A family friend's lake house in Coeur d'Alene they borrowed all summer. They'd bought it. Leveraged the main house. Hadn't made a full mortgage payment in 5 months. Notice of default was already filed. They were 45 days from auction. They weren't just entitled. They were insolvent. Partying on a cliff edge while demanding I pay for the champagne. The old me would have panicked. Cashed investments. Begged banks. Saved them. New me smiled. I called my lawyer back at 4:12 a.m. Finalize Phoenix Holdings. Full cash offer on the note, primary and secondary. I want title by Friday. Kelsey Harper, this makes you the lender. You'll have the legal right to foreclose. I know. I hung up. They'd spent years treating me like a transaction. Now I was just completing one. But how would they react when their reliable daughter showed up? As their new landlord. Saturday morning my phone rang. Dad. I let it go to voicemail twice before answering. Harper, emergency. Family meeting. Now. I arrived an hour later. House looked the same. Pristine lawn, gleaming SUV, perfect facade. Inside? Panic. Mom wringing hands. Madison scrolling, annoyed. Dad at the dining table, surrounded by bank letters. The bank's making a mistake, he started. They say we're behind. It's a glitch. We need $62,000 to bring current until lawyers fix it. I stayed standing. A bridge loan. Exactly. You've always been good with money. You have savings. Madison chimed in, if this gets out, it'll kill my brand. I can't have foreclosure in the Google results right now. Your brand, I repeated softly. Dad snapped, we all have images to protect. How fast can you wire it? You can use your 401k if needed. We helped you build that credit. I let silence stretch. I'm not touching my retirement. Dad stood. Ungrateful. After everything we've done. 50 grand by Monday or you're cut off, Mom finished, voice cold. Choose. I looked at them, really looked. Okay, I said calmly. See you Monday. I walked out to shouting, threats, accusations of selfishness. I smiled the whole drive home. They thought they were giving me an ultimatum. They had no idea Monday's meeting would be on my terms. With a deed and a 30-day notice in my hand. Monday morning I arrived in a charcoal power suit, portfolio under arm. They waited at the dining table, smug, expectant. You're late, Dad said. Check. I placed the portfolio down. Opened it slowly. I didn't bring a check. Confusion rippled. I slid the deed across. Phoenix Holdings now holds both notes on this property. I am Phoenix Holdings. Silence.
Actual vacuum.
Mom gasped. Madison's phone hit the floor. Dad stared. You bought our mortgage. I bought your debt. I own this house. Legally, I'm your landlord. And you've defaulted for months. Where did you get? Mom started. I sold my logistics software platform last year. $87 million. You never asked what I actually do. Dad slumped. Madison whispered, Millionaire. You have 30 days to vacate, I said, sliding the notice. Or the sheriff removes you. Use the boxes from my room. They're in the garage. Mom sobbed. We have nowhere. Market rate rental options exist. I own a building downtown. Units available. Dad tried. We can work something out. You're rich. It was never about the money, I said quietly. It was about erasing me for closet space. I dropped my house key on the table. Heavy clatter. I'll see you in court if you force it. My attorneys are excellent. I walked out. Didn't look back. In the rear view, the house looked smaller than ever. But what would the next 30 days bring? Desperation, lies, or the first real reckoning? They tried everything. Texts begging. Voicemails crying family. Madison even posted a cryptic Instagram story about toxic betrayal that got deleted within hours. I didn't respond. I hired professional movers, had them wait off-site. Offered market-rate condo lease in my building, month to month, no favors. They refused at first. Called it cruel. Then reality sank in. On day 22, Dad called defeated. We'll take the condo. I had the lease sent over.
No discounts.
Full security deposit. Moving day arrived. I didn't watch. I flew to Florida instead. 3 weeks later I stood on the balcony of my new Sarasota home. Glass walls, Gulf breeze, sunrise painting everything gold. No more hiding my success. No more shrinking. My phone stayed off. I knew they were unpacking into a 2-bedroom they could finally afford, because they had to. For the first time, they lived within their means. And I lived in mine, freedom. But as the waves rolled in, one question lingered. Would they ever understand, or would they spend the rest of their lives rewriting the story with me as the villain? The sand was cool under my feet as I walked the private beach at dawn. I'd started paperwork for the Unseen Foundation, grants, legal aid, financial counseling for people trapped paying for family illusions. My pain wasn't wasted. It became a ladder. I thought about the old house. The facade. The lies. They'd spent decades chasing appearance over substance. I'd spent mine building substance in silence. When the crash came, the facade shattered. The substance stood. I wasn't their daughter anymore. I wasn't their ATM, their rock, their invisible support. I was just Harper. Seen. Whole. Free. If you've ever paid rent to belong in your own family, type freedom in the comments. Would you have walked away? Or paid one more time? Share your city and time. I read every one. Because the moment you stop paying for love you never truly had, is the moment you finally get to keep it for yourself.